Okay, looks like we're kicking off our day here of monitoring the severe weather potential in the deep south of the United States, and we're going to kick this off right away with a tornado warning. So this comes out of the National Weather Service offices of Houston and Galveston, Texas. The National Weather Service in League City has issued a tornado warning for southeastern San Jacinto County in southeastern Texas and southeastern Polk County in southeastern Texas. This warning exists until 11:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 12:27 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located over Shepherd, or 9 miles north of Cleveland, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So what they're seeing is the hazard, of course, is a tornado. This is a radar-indicated storm. Uh, we want to make sure everyone understands that the impact would be flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Um, this dangerous storm will be near Goodridge around 12:45, which is now currently, and so you want to be on the lookout here. Other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Segno, and again, this is for a tornado warning in southeastern San Jacinto County and southeastern Polk County and southeastern Texas. So it's time to tune into your local sources of information. Get connected to your news media, National Weather Service feeds, your Skywarn nets in the area, and be aware that that the weather has turned severe. So this is KA0 with Greene County Skywarn. As we get more updates, we will relay them. So this is KA0SPM Steve with Greene County Skywarn, updating the weather situation going on in the southeast Texas. The National Weather Service in League City has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Wharton County, northeastern Jackson County, and north central Matagorda County in southeastern Texas. This warning is until 1:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 12:43 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near El Campo, moving east at 35 miles per hour. The hazards include 60 miles per hour wind gusts and half-dollar-sized hail. This is a radar-indicated storm, and locations impacted: El Campo, Wharton, Pierce, Bowling, Iago, Van Vliet, Louise, Hungerford, and Danavang, and I'm going to apologize right now for massacring those areas. I don't live in the area, so I know there's probably local pronunciations, and I'm not getting it. So, also for the this area of southeast Texas, a tornado watch remains in effect until 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time for south central and southeastern Texas. And so, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. This is KA0SPM with Greene County Skywarn. And this is Steve again with Greene County Skywarn. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a mesoscale discussion, and of course, this is a bit of an advanced topic. But any of you weather watchers out there, you want to be following these discussions. And so this is concerning Tornado Watch number 120. The severe weather threat for Tornado Watch 120 continues. Convective trends towards a supercellular convective mode are increasing as the 700 millibar flow intensifies this afternoon. Large to very large hail is possible with the mature supercells. A tornado risk will probably accompany the stronger, more persistent low-level mesocyclones. So, of course, this information comes from spc.noaa.gov. You can get to it right off their front page on the overview, and I can actually show that to you. I'll pull that radar off for a moment, And you can see the mesoscale discussions and when they update the convective outlook. All you got to do is tap on those screens on the side, which are in this area right here, and it will give you these more advanced weather subjects so that you can plan for your safety and learn a little bit about weather, because that's kind of what we're here doing today, is we're learning a little bit more about weather. And kind of playing this a little differently than we did on our last live stream. We're going to do it more like we do our local Skywarn nets, and try to disseminate information as well as uh, radar studies, which we do quite often here. And so keep in tuned to your local sources of weather information, be that the media, the National Weather Service offices, weather radio, your local Skywarn nets, and plan for your safety. Make sure that you heed their warnings and take cover when needed. So this is Steve with Greene County Skywarn, KA0SPM, and we'll keep listening for further updates. So the tornado warning for southeast Texas is expired or canceled, and so we'll return back to the view of the Storm Prediction Center. KA0SPM, Green County Skywarn.
Hey, how's it going? Good sound? Good. Did they change the mesoscale um, forecast or just our luck though, right? Morning. Okay.
And I'll go ahead and read the warning for the tornado. So
But you want to read it from my screen?
no, I've got it here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is KA0SPM with Greene County Skywarn, and the National Weather Service in Shreveport has issued a tornado warning for West Central Grant Parish, East Central Natchitoches Parish, and Southwestern Wind Parish in North Central and Northwestern Louisiana. This warning goes until 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 1:18 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles southwest of Natchitoches, or near Provencal. And again, I am not from the area, so I probably said that wrong. And that's moving east at 45 miles per hour. Hazards indicated are a tornado. This is a radar indicated rotation, which we're doing. We've got some graphics up here to give you an idea of the mapped location. Uh, Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged. Damage to roof, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This dangerous storm will be near Montgomery around 1:40 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Melrose, Flora, Provencal, Natchez, Bermuda, Aloha, and St. Maurice. So the warning from the Weather Service in Shreveport is take cover now. So, and now's the time for everyone to get to their shelters. Refer to your local media, local weather service, local Skywarn nets for warnings as this storm progresses. So, this is Steve with Greene County Skywarn. There we go.
All right, Steve. I am jumping in. Uh, am I
Yeah,
on
you're
the
you're
feed
on.
now?
We're on. We're live. So
All right.
I'm thinking that we need to look for a debris ball. What do you think?
It is radar indicated for sure. So let's take a look at that right now. Looks like it's starting to bow right in there. That's interesting. Okay. Debris ball.
This
Yeah.
is another one of those backwards tornado on the backside storms that we were looking at the other night.
Yes. So what we're looking at right now is the correlation coefficient. Now, I practiced that because I was stepping all over myself last weekend when we were doing this for Easter,
Yeah.
and I could not say it for the life of me. So I'll just
CC.
take it slow and I'll get it right. As the day progresses, though, I cannot guarantee that that will continue. So let's see how things go.
Well, I'm
Right.
just gonna say this, Rodney. If you blow College of DuPage away, it's time to go ahead and take a break.
I can believe that.
Correlation coefficient goes away right away. It's the if you can't say College of DuPage, you're done. So I will ask for you to say it and see how your check your sanity.
Exactly. These
That was a big breakup.
Uh,
Say that
it
again.
appears that we have. Did you hear me? Okay.
I am now. You were kind of coming apart there. It just went out.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be having some technical difficulties here, but not something that we can't handle. Um, anyway, as I was saying, um, based on the storm track, it's running 48 miles per hour. Right now, they're saying that there is a tornado that is radar indicated. As of we're not seeing anything as far as a debris ball, at least not in the lower part. Let me see. I mean, I guess you wouldn't find a debris ball in the upper part if there was a lower. Anyway, I'm going to go back to velocity. Now, there's definitely some convergence in there, but nothing very tight. So we'll just keep a little bit closer look at that.
Yeah, I can just to the west of Provencal. I'm sure where I'm saying that wrong, but you can see the higher velocity right there, just below that the Interstate 40 sign.
49. Yeah.
49, yeah. Just below that, the higher velocity, and then you've got red that's got a little higher brightness of red.
I mean, something right in here is where I would identify that to be. So, like, this is what I'm looking at right here, just north of Natchez.
Yeah.
Natchez. I don't know. We're gonna have to take classes to learn how to say these. I'm sure we're not saying it right. So our apologies if there's anyone that's watching that's affected by this area. Don't hold it against us.
Right.
Because we're from the.
And we'll learn as we go.
Watchers and net controls and whatnot. One of the most important things that we do is we relay information to the team, whether it be spotters or to the National Weather Service. They got it all under control. But we have to kind of be the eyes on the sky on our side so that we can kind of direct our spotters to be in the right area. Now, there it appears right here now to be a little bit more rotation right in this area. So we're still going to continue to watch that. But as I was saying, if we were to have anybody that was out here, as far as a spotter is concerned, we would need to be aware of the location of them, of course. And then, of course, we would also want to look at the storm direction. We want to make sure that nobody gets in the way of the tornado. That's the biggest thing right now. So, as a storm spotter, I would say you would want to be in this area right here. And of course, Steve can always correct me in that respect. I'm going to turn our reflectivity back on here.
Now, this is actually kind of a tough one because the circulation is actually in. I mean, this is not a classic supercell.
That's true.
And
it's
so
turning into a line segment.
I could hear Patty now saying, this is a broad scale QLCS type. It might not be safe to spot it. And in that case, we would come in from the backside and check for damage.
Right. So based on that, this is where it's saying the the, the rotation is showing in the radar.
Right.
If we did have someone that was in the field, we would want to put them into this area right here, but we got to be careful of that hail core right there because that could easily affect them. And we
Right.
don't want to put them in that spot either.
Yeah, you could probably say the best for spotter locations on this one would be where you don't want to be. That would be an easier part than to try to figure out where would be a good spot to view what's actually going on. Because yeah, man, I'm looking at base level reflex or base level velocities, and you know where the circulation is shown. There's definitely a circulation in there, and it's right at that perfect part of the radar where um, there's no inbound or outbound velocity. It only shows the circulation,
Right.
and so yeah, you're probably not wanting to be on 49 right in that stretch of the that stretch of the highway there
Right in here.
because yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, and if you're just east of it, you're going to be pounded with hail, and it appears was at 0.75, three quarters of an inch.
Right. That
Uh,
that is no fun. That
no.
will wreck a car quicker than anything.
Oh,
You will be.
Rodney, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, we had a couple of hail events that one of them occurred in Fort Worth and another one in Colorado Springs. I got to see a picture of one of those vehicles. Uh, it was related to what I was doing at the time. That was working for insurance. And there were no windows, including the windshield was completely destroyed. And that has bracing in it to prevent it from shattering. It just smashed it flat into the dash.
Oh my.
And there was not a spot on that car that didn't have a huge amount of dents in it. And some of the cars even it pushed the roof down because it hit so hard. I'm not saying that this is what's going on here, but this is what hailstorms are capable of.
Okay, so I'm looking at the most current radar refresh here, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing some pinks along with some reds and some greens, and it looks as if a couplet has definitely developed in this area. Again, we're trying to read this from a perspective of, a line segment type storm, but to see something like this, it still kind of raises my suspicion.
Oh yeah.
Do you agree on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
and quite honestly, the indicator that you've got on the radar with the little TVS is possible that that may be off a little bit. Um, and then you've also got the radar delay,
Exactly.
which not because of anybody's fault, it's because it takes time for the radar to build the images and get it disseminated out. So on a good day, you might see it every 3 minutes. On a not so good day, it might be 6 minutes between.
Well, we're seeing some wind going away from the radar at 54 mile per hour right now. So I'd say we still need to keep a real close watch on that. And there's also some rotation back in this area too. So it's almost like it's an embedded storm. It's almost like two different types of storms embedded together. I guess is that the best way to explain it? Is what it looks like to me. And then again, it is still getting stronger and stronger. And if anything, these are frontline winds right here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking at something like this is where your strongest winds are going to be. And this is where a lot of times you can get a lot of people believe that they see it. There's a tornado, but these straight line winds can be excessively strong. So you want to make sure that you're at least out of the wind field as best as you can be right in this area right here. If you're going to be out, you really don't need to be out in this, but this
Right.
is something that you can definitely be here. And if you are in the path of that storm, you definitely want to take cover in this area for sure. And again, that tornado warning is going until it appears it's going until, let's see,
It it's on till 2.
1:40, or no, storm will be near that area.
Right.
Okay, so 2 o'clock. All right.
Yeah, and that's the latest from the Weather Service office has out of Shreveport, that and they've not updated this warning since I read it, so it's still an active warning. And currently the only one in the south that I can see.
Right. So I think we'll kind of stay in this area for now. Let's kind of we'll blow this out just a little bit, just to kind of see. One thing that we always want to make sure of is a lot of times when you have a large storm moving through, there's a good likelihood of another storm starting to build up behind it, because it's either one, feeding from that particular storm. Um, so you just have to be aware. The situational awareness is the biggest key to knowing exactly where the storm's going and what's coming in behind that storm.
Yeah, we're
So,
you making a point there. Those of us who spot and chasers as well. I mean, we're not immune to the effects of tornadoes. And situational awareness is everything when you're out there. And I would say discretion is the better part of valor, because um, you just don't want to get too close. Now, I know that at least one of the injuries that took place because of the El Reno tornado was someone who was doing their job, and that was Mike Bettis and his group. Um, and then researchers and such. You know what? They were the experts and they got run over. So that's enough to scare you.
so I am still seeing some pretty strong winds coming out of this. This is 48. And again, I don't know that this is, the actual rotation, or let's. I mean, it appears to be a couplet, but this just really looks like strong straight line winds right here. Um, so that's something that, let me go back to reflectivity for a second. Oh, it's also got a hail core in that area too.
All right.
So it's so hard to predict stuff like this. And that's why there are professionals in the National Weather Service, and there are people like us that do their best to try to understand how this is working. Because we didn't go, to school for however many years it takes to learn this. We're just kind of doing it as enthusiasts, and of course we want to understand more so that we can be there for you, to help you and whatnot.
Yeah. Now, between you and me, we've run a fair number of Skywarn nets, and quite often those seem to be where we're disseminating information from the Weather Service more than we are directing spotters.
Right.
Probably a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are times when we could even ask the question, if we're in direct communication with the National Weather Service, we would say, hey, We're seeing something here. What do you think? And of course, then they put their eyes on it, and then they can give us an educated idea of what we're seeing, and they
Right.
they help us along the way, and we can definitely learn from that as well. And interacting with them directly, you know, it's a great partnership in that respect. So,
Yeah. Now, I think there's a great deal put on the idea that chasers tend to have a certain mentality when it comes to storms because everybody wants to call out tornado on the ground.
of course, yeah.
But you know, as we've seen in some of the training films, that can get you in trouble if you don't know for sure.
Right. I mean, it's not like they're going to name a tornado after you. It's going to be
Right.
one of those things where you really need to make sure you know what you're looking at. Because, again, one of the big reasons why we're called the jungle chasers in the first place, we live in an area where there is no guarantee of what you're looking at until you're either on top of it or it's on top of you. That's the problem. And one of the times you have to, first of all, know where you're at, know your topography as far as the directions of the roads, because there's going to be times in those situations where you have got to make a split decision. Do I go south? Do I go north? And if there's not a road going that way, you either make a new road or you're stuck. And so that's one of those things where we learn in that respect. But there's a lot of areas like here in the south that are not necessarily like that. But um, we're learning how how that works too. And that's one reason why we're here. We're using this as a teaching and a learning tool for us. And if anyone does happen to watch this stream, we want to be some kind of information source for you. So it's just one of those things where everything's a learning experience, and hopefully we don't learn any bad things versus we could actually get some positive out of this.
I'm adding Franklin and Heather to the call.
All right.
If I think Heather's there, but I don't know if yeah, Heather's in, and I don't know if Franklin's with us or not.
And I know a lot of times Heather likes to give a audio commentary, and
Right.
if she wishes to do that, that's perfectly fine. Just interrupt us. We don't always know if you're waving your hands to get our attention or anything like that. But if it comes down to it, go break, break, and at least you can give us some ideas of
Well, screen's set right now. Where it's pretty much all of it's just audio. So you know. So, guys, I am going to take a short break. I'll be right back. A couple minutes at the most. Pause for the cause.
All right, so we'll continue our coverage here. As of right now, there's still a tornado warning. I believe that goes until 2, and that is for this area right here. We can go over that warning. So basically at 1:18, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles southwest of Natchitoches, or near Provincial. I think I said it that correctly. Moving east at 45 miles per hour. Of course, this is a tornado warning, so the primary hazard would be a tornado, and they believed on radar indication. So in most cases, you're going to have flying debris. You just want to make sure that you stay away from, mobile homes. They can be damaged or destroyed. Of course, roofs, windows, and vehicles can also be damaged during this type of storm. So anyway, that's just kind of a brief overview of what we've got going on here. And so I guess, Heather, you're probably looking at your own screen, and you can kind of correct me if you think I may be off base a little bit, but I see a lot of rotation, or if anything, just strong winds in this area. Um, and now it's interesting because if you go into your base reflectivity, there's there's some hail, at least it appears to have some hail in this area, and then we're looking at something right here. But we're not seeing anything that's like, a debris ball or anything that may have hit the ground. In fact, there's a good chance that rotation is probably starting to dissipate. But what do you think? I mean, are we looking at the same thing, or are you seeing some other stuff?
It's only allowing me to look at reflectivity right now. I'm trying to get in other angles here, but it's not allowing me to look at anything else but the reflectivity.
Okay. Well, like I said, we see little blips here and there, and it's hard to determine. And it appears that they continued the tornado warning for this area now. So this is a new issue. At 1:47 p.m., the National Weather Service is continuing a tornado warning for East Central Nacogdoches Parish. It says it's canceled though. So that's interesting. So it's one of those things where this may have an update with it. Let me see here. Okay. This was the original bulletin. And then this is the new one. So this would be the most current one right here. So the tornadic storm which prompted the warning has moved out of the area. So I wonder why that is still showing that. And of course, it could still have some rotation in this area too.
I've got a new text here where they continue well, let me just do it right. It's still the Weather Service out of Shreveport. Tornado warning remains in effect till 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time for West Central Grant and Southwestern Wind parishes. At 1:46 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Montgomery, or 15 miles east of Nacogdoches, moving east at 45 miles per hour. Where did I see it? I just saw it. Radar indicated rotation. At 1:25 p.m., trees and power lines were downed from this storm near the Flora community in southern Nacogdoches Parish.
Okay.
So they had some actual damage reports. So it's actually a little more than just radar indicated.
Okay. And a lot of times we like to incorporate any different feeds that we can find as far as if there is an actual Skywarn net in that area.
Yeah,
we also like to see if there's anything, even if it comes down to listening to police reports, EMTs that might be in that area, but it's getting few and far between. It makes it tough for us to kind of see exactly or hear what the big picture is actually going on.
Yeah, the streaming of Skywarn nets has kind of fallen out of favor somewhat. But I do have the Mississippi Skywarn regional or statewide up. I think, Rodney, we probably need to look into the possibility of some of the digital nets, which I've not done that research. And sadly, you almost got to program them on the fly, don't you?
It would appear to be that way, yeah. And you and I both know, working with DMR and all those different things there, that is a ever-growing thing as far as new stuff coming up and whatnot. And of course, you have to have your computer nearly updated all the time so that you can give the right information in your radio, or else you're just lost. So I don't know. We'll have to
Right.
look into that a little bit further, but that could definitely be a resource for us in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if we just stick to Brandmeister, man, there's some velocity in that storm. They're just kicking it, man. Dang.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing 40 and 50, and they just issued another thunderstorm warning, or at least it's been continued through this area. So let's bring it back to our base reflectivity here.
Get them back up here.
And so as far as that thunderstorm warning is concerned, let's go back here. We can read that. So the National Weather Service in Shreveport has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central Grant Parish in north central Louisiana, Natchitoches Parish in northwestern Louisiana, southeastern Sabine Parish, and that is also in northwestern Louisiana, and then southern Wind Parish in north central Louisiana until 2 o'clock.
Oh. Hey, Franklin.
Hello.
I think I just wrecked my connection.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Hang on. I don't know if I can go back. I probably can.
Some quarter-size hail is your primary hazard. This has been indicated by radar. And so, of course, your impact would be hail damage to vehicles as well as roof siding and trees. So we definitely want to make sure that if you are watching, definitely want to keep an eye out, especially since there is technically a tornado warning still in effect. But this severe storms could definitely come into your area very soon.
Ah, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Franklin has joined us.
How you doing, Franklin?
Doing pretty good. Still kind of getting stuff set up here on my end. But I've got radar up. I'm assuming that you guys are looking at that rotation just barely northeast of Montgomery, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're definitely focused on that storm right now.
Yeah. I know. I pulled up the severe thunderstorm warning that you had, Rodney, and I've got a different text.
Why don't you share that with us, Steve?
Weather Service in Shreveport has issued severe thunderstorm warning for northern Grant Parish, LaSalle Parish, and southeastern Wind Parish in north and central Louisiana until 2:45. At 1:41 p.m. or 1:51 p.m. Central Daylight Time, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 10 miles southwest of Winfield to 11 miles north of Colfax to 7 miles southeast of Montgomery, moving east at 40 miles per hour. And the hazards indicated there are 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Locations impacted: Jenna, Alla, Midway, Urania, Dry Prong, Tulos, Georgetown, Atlanta, Nebo, Rochelle, Zenoria, Lake Ayat, and Williana. And if you live in one of those towns and I mispronounced it, I apologize.
I thought some of our Oklahoma and Kansas cities were hard to pronounce.
Oh, it's going to get so
Oh, yeah.
much better as we go.
Some of our Missouri towns are hard to pronounce too.
True. Particularly the closer you get kind of to that Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, Missouri border.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put Chattahoochee up against Duquesne anytime.
Absolutely.
Chattahoochee, I've heard enough. I'm pretty familiar with that one. There's one I can't remember. I don't think it's this one, but I think it's in Texas. There's a place called Nacogdoches,
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Yeah, we
could
were just passing through that information.
it could possibly be one in Louisiana too, because I see there's one that looks like it could be a little bit similar to that, close to here.
So, just to interrupt you slightly here, they have
Oh,
just
no.
now issued a new tornado warning
Oh, boy.
Mm.
for northeastern Grant Parish in north central Louisiana, northwestern LaSalle Parish in north central Louisiana,
Mhm.
and southeastern Wynn Parish in north central Louisiana until 2:45. At 1:56 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 11 miles east of Montgomery, or 15 miles south of Winfield, moving east at 45 miles per hour. Of course, this hazard is tornado, and it is radar indicated. People who would be impacted, again, would be Zenoria, Urania, Willania, Georgetown, Rochelle, and Toulouse. So I think it's just almost kind of overlaps what Steve just said here,
Yeah.
but they have definitely extended that. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to our base velocity here, and let's just keep an eye on this rotation. There's definitely some strong leading rotation here, and I don't know if that's a couplet or not, but that looks really strong. What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
I'm in agreement there. And
Yeah,
especially
on my
with the
radar.
green, you've got green velocity against red. That would make me. That's
All right, so I'm going to go and just see where we're at as far as correlation coefficient. There is a good slight chance that could be a good debris ball right there.
It could be.
Let me see. There's nothing in the upper atmosphere, so it could have easily just now hit. Let's see what the next scan will bring.
Mm.
Now, I know that Heather has the same program. She's probably looking at the same radar, as far as I am. But if she sees anything different, definitely call out and let us know. We're working as a team. I certainly don't want to be the only one talking.
Don't worry. I'll read the warnings.
Yeah, and I've pretty much got everything set up, but I'm searching for. Patty had found a list of all the National Weather Service office locations,
Oh.
and I was looking for that so that it would be a little bit easier to find Weather Service offices to see what they're saying in chat. But I am thinking I've overlooked it because I went back to Sunday in our net control chat and I am not seeing it.
Well, this one is KSHV.
Okay, that's who you guys are using.
That's this radar that's on the screen now.
Okay. I've been in Fort Polk KPOA, but I will switch over to KSHV.
That was one of the questions that I was gonna have. What
Oh,
radar
okay.
site are you guys?
That rotation looks stronger there. Yeah,
Shreveport.
there's definitely a difference.
Whoa. Dang.
Yeah, I'm
Mother.
going to say That is definitely
That's the one.
something we want to be careful with here.
Yeah, definitely. And if I was positioning spotters, I would want to see if I could get, because it looks like it's mostly tracking east, slightly northeast. I'd want to see if I could get someone kind of to the southeast of that, maybe around Dry Prong or north of Pollock, as that kind of tracks across to the east,
No,
so that they could have kind of a look into the middle of that storm. That would likely be where I'd want to try to position people.
Now, what's interesting about that, me and Steve had this conversation slightly before you joined us.
Mm-hmm.
It all goes back to identifying the type of storm, too. Because, again, we
Sure.
could be looking at a linear storm versus an actual supercell. And, of course, a lot of times that rotation is going to be on the back edge of the storm versus maybe the leading edge of the storm. So
True.
you got to be careful. And I think you're right. I mean, as far as where I would put a spotter, I would probably be in that area. But there are situations, though, where it may not be a safe place at all, simply because that storm could easily move to the south, and then that person could be put in the line of that storm.
Oh, yeah, always. No matter where you're at, you're always wanting to watch out for that, because just a good example of that was the El Reno tornado. Correct me if I'm wrong on the year. That was 2013, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That's exactly what happened in that situation. I believe we had about 9 people that were killed in that tornado because it did exactly what you're talking about, Rodney. It shifted to the south when most of the time tornadoes, they don't shift to the south. They usually shift north. And everyone was anticipating, well, if I could get south of this storm, I'll be okay. All of a sudden, it shifted to the south and people got ran over.
It suddenly, in personal opinion here on El Reno, I know there's been a lot of analysis. I think the whole, what we would consider a wall cloud when you're out looking, dropped to the ground, and it was a violent enough storm that it created external vortexes. So you had multiple little mini tornadoes all around it. And that's what got Bettis. That's what they're pretty sure of. And, I won't comment on the other ones because there's been a lot of debate on that. But what has happened in the last maybe 2 or 3 radar scans is this kind of has changed its demeanor, where if I was out there in my vehicle going to do some spotting, I would not feel too uncomfortable being in Colfax or what's that, Pollock?
Yeah.
Pollock.
Right.
And then there's one kind of a little bit north and almost halfway between the two, Dry Prong.
Yeah.
Or Dry Prong.
Dry Prong.
Yeah, as that's kind of shifted a little bit, I'm kind of revising my opinion on that. That might be a little bit too close. I would maybe fall back to Pollock, because it looks like the bottom part of that rotation may go just right north of Dry Prong.
And another thing, too, is there's some fairly moderate rainfall in that area that could easily obstruct the view. Obscure, yeah, that's the right word. Obscure versus obstruct. But in respect to that, again, it's a tough call. And
Rodney,
you hope you've got multiple spotters as far as that's concerned.
Rodney, they've kind of extended that warning. I've got some Jenna and Midway will be in the path of the storm. I'm seeing 206 for time, and they're estimating 235 to 240, 235 for Jenna and 240 for Midway. Does that show on the map? Can you see that?
Yes, I actually just hit the storm track, and it does show Georgetown, Midway, and Jenna. It's slightly off. You said 240.
Right.
This one says 247. But that could also mean this track is also what it's referring to too. So let me uncheck this and look at this one. Yeah, this one's a little closer to that. If you look at the path of that storm, you've got Georgetown, Tulos, Midway, and then Jenna. And that is 237, 242, 256, and 258. It is still moving at a very strong clip as far as that is concerned. Because if we look at the actual... let me get out of this real quick.
Storm ground speed.
Yes. Oop. You'll have to forgive me. We're still learning this machine. 41 miles per hour. So it has slightly slowed down. It was going 48 there for a while, at least the last time we checked. So it is starting to slow down a little bit, which of course is going to increase the rainfall amounts and whatnot as well. So let's see.
So that is forward ground speed is about 0.7 of a mile per minute. So considering the average, and they may have different update times on this radar. Worst case scenario, 6 minutes. That moves 4.1 miles every time the radar takes a sweep. So what you're seeing now could potentially be 4 miles further to the east.
Correct.
As a spotter, that's important.
Very important.
That's huge. Honestly, I spend a lot of time spotting out to the east of us. And just past the weather service at the South Willard Fire Station. And it's about that far away from the radar site, about 4 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the time it takes me to drive that distance, which I could outdrive the radar speed, but that's not very long a time. And it's significant difference between South Willard and the airport. I've got
When
no...
you're talking about South Willard, are you talking about the old fire station location, or are you talking about the one on AB Highway?
The one that's, is it YY Highway or EE? It's the one that you go past the weather service and you end up on the road that turns and goes to Elwood. And there's a water tower there, so...
That's why I was wondering, is that the same station that me and Gary looked at?
About Station 3 then. Because the new one was built on AB Highway in Willard.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're still using it, but all I know is it's got a decent driveway that looks good out over the west, and you can see for miles, and it's a good place to... That's my favorite place to be in the county. It's sort of central. You can go north or south if you have to. The goal is to not have to. You're spotting, so you're just kind of setting up in a line to intercept.
Now, what's interesting about this line, and again, most of the time we would look at it and say, well, look at this appendage. This is where typically a storm or a tornado would be located. But it's also bowing as well, which means there could easily still be rotation in this area, or even possibly this area here. So that's where it can really get you and catch you off guard. And it all goes back to understanding what kind of storm cell you're looking at. And and as fancy as your radar program is, it's not perfect either. It's using algorithms, it's using the way it was programmed, and it's very sophisticated and very informative. But you still have to take into account, you have to almost have that human aspect, because you can only go by what the program or the radar is giving you.
So, Rodney, if you could zoom out just a little on your view, we're right at the edge of the Jackson, Mississippi National Weather Service (CWA), and you'll see there that. Well, let me just read the warning. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect till 3 p.m. for western Newton, north central Smith, and southern Scott counties in Mississippi. Let's see. 209, a severe thunderstorm is located over Pulaski, or 9 miles southeast of Morton, moving east at 35 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. This severe storm will be near Homewood at 2:15, Forest at 2:25, and Newton and Lawrence around 2:45. On your display there, the severe thunderstorm is in red. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I have to look at that map again because.
Just kind of get a larger picture here. One thing about it is, even though we're focused on these storms, look at what's coming in behind it.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, these are starting to fire up. They've got a very sizable hail core. But this is a fairly large storm. It's already developing quite the anvil. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. This could easily either get supercell in nature, just by the way it's got little mini cells with it, so it could turn into a line segment, but it appears that it's just kind of converging into a line segment for the most part.
So while we've been looking at Louisiana and Mississippi, we've got something firing off out of the Galveston office. And so this is just a continuation of a warning. Tornado warning remains in effect to 2:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time for west central Brazoria County. At 2:09 p.m., spotters reported a confirmed tornado located west of West Columbia, moving east at 30 miles per hour. Hazards include damaging tornado and half-dollar size hail. This is a spotter-confirmed tornado. This tornado will be near Holiday Lakes and western Bailey's Prairie around 2:30 p.m. And so this is a tornado on the ground. Take cover now if you are in west central Brazoria County. Actually, I'd kind of watched a little bit out of the first warning was League City who issued it. This is got to be the same place, but yep, I see it there.
And one thing about it, they're saying it's confirmed. So
yeah,
let's go in here and let's see if they're actually bringing any debris. Because again, it goes back to the eyes that are on the ground, and it said it was confirmed by a spotter. Now, in situations where this is probably mostly flat area, I'm not familiar with the topography, so I can't just assume that.
I've been
but you know, you've got to take into account if that spotter has definitely been trained, that should be a confirmed tornado, and it even says it was confirmed by an amateur radio. So we'll just keep an eye on that and see what's going. Let's see if the next scan will bring up anything.
Well, it's going to be a battle to see it.
Yeah, it's probably rain wrapped. I'll go back to the reflectivity here.
Ooh. Yeah, loop that and see if there's any kind
That's a nasty looking storm.
And it's really interesting, kind of its structure, how it kind of comes and narrows and then makes kind of a bit of a hook, but then kind of there around West Columbia, that hook just widens out, and there's just a very narrow bit connecting kind of those two main parts of that cell.
Well, what gets me is, could this be the tornado right here?
Yeah, quite likely that your notch, and this one is actually kind of taking the look of a classic supercell. Your notch is, that's where your inflow is, and
That's exactly where that notch is.
right,
Right in here.
yep. So
And look, there's some rotation just to the south of West Columbia as well. And so it could easily be, this could possibly be part of that tornado too. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say that's a large tornado, but I'd say it's more in this area right here.
oh.
Are y'all seeing kind of the same thing I'm seeing
Right.
as far as...
I think so.
Well, you can see the TVS marker you got there, if that's what that is. I would.
That's a meso detection for sure, yes.
Right. I would.
Yeah.
I would certainly say there is a element of concern there. If I were a spotter in the area, and if I were just north of Columbia a little bit, I would be calling the weather service. You know what, guys? I think we got one. You better have a look on the radar.
Yeah, you bet. Pretty sure we've got that. And it wouldn't hurt to have another spotter maybe in the Angleton area as well, as long as the storm doesn't show any signs of strengthening. Going back to our reflectivity here.
Also, a little bit to the west and slightly south of Angleton is Bailey's Prairie. That might maybe be another location, and it looks like there is a highway that kind of runs between West Columbia to Bailey's Prairie to Angleton, so maybe along that highway would be a good location. And being it's showing up on my radar scope, it's likely a fairly significant highway.
I
So-
agree with you on that.
So a gut feeling here is this storm's about ready to take a dump, which means the West Columbia part of the storm is gonna build while the one further east is gonna die. Have you noticed the different how it's changing there?
Yeah, did you see how it looked like it was starting to rain itself out?
Right.
Let me go back and bring back the loop here.
And I am also
The way
seeing...
that sto-
Oh, go ahead, Heather.
the way that storm, it looks like it's sloping down to where West Columbia is. It looks like it's bowing out in that area. Based on my radar, anyway.
Kind of a little bit on the tip, kind of about there, right about West Columbia and south of there. It does look like that's... Oh, actually, my radar just updated and it's doing it even more. There almost looks like to be a notch just northeast of West Columbia. And in that area, above that notch, between there to where the mesocyclone icon is, it looks like there's two pretty good hail cores in there.
Yeah.
And also that area and going back up to the main part of the storm, about even with north of Holiday Lakes, all that area in there, I'm seeing a lot of lightning on the radar.
So are you saying... Is it this bow echo or not bow, but this kind of a bowing right in this area? Or
Kind of
referring
down
right in-
south and a little bit on the back side.
Oh, okay. So
It's
more
kind of that
right here.
notched area. No, a little bit further to the east, kind of in where that bottom part is. Yeah, kind of around right in there.
Oh, in here. Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
or
And
at
so,
least on my radar, it's a little slightly more pronounced, a little bit more elongated, going east and west, and looks more kind of like a bit of a notch.
well, you're probably right because you are seeing some rotation here, and
Yeah,
it does appear some broad rotation in this area as well.
yeah, and it's
Uh,
just kind of just north of that is where I'm seeing two areas where there looks like hell cores.
all right, so let's take another peek of the correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient. I said it. I said it. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any debris balls, thank goodness, unless it was something here.
You might you might have to put it in motion to see that one, because it's got a lot of other
Yeah.
things going on there.
And then the other thing on the correlation coefficient, which I know you guys know this, explaining it for anyone that may be watching, is consistency. Does that show in that same area over, 2 or more frames of radar images? If it does, then it's more likely is a tornado debris signature and not just something anonymous, not anonymous. Something erroneously showing up on radar.
Right.
Anomalous.
Anomalous.
That's what I was trying to say.
And the thing about it is if you look closely in this area where we would suspect that to be a debris ball,
Yeah.
if you look at the next frame, it tends to kind of go away. So very likely that is just heavy precipitation, but
Yeah.
it can be a little bit misleading sometimes.
Or, it may be precipitation, it may be something else in the air, because basically what the correlation coefficient is seeing is objects in the air and measuring them along their horizontal and vertical axes. That's part of the newer dual pole radar information that the newer upgraded radars can see. And if it's just not consistent, who knows what it could be seeing in the atmosphere, or it could just be an erroneous, or
Yeah, you said it
who
right.
knows
That's
what.
it.
Yeah, that time.
The word of the day is correlation coefficient and erroneous.
Just wait till we get tired, man. It's gonna all go away.
Yeah, we're going to be going, you see that CC? They're going to turn on the CC. That's all I'm going to be calling it at that point.
When we get down to
And there's nothing wrong-
then it's time to kill the feed, because we're not going to be able to say nothing. And there's other severe storms in that area there. Look at that stuff. This is pretty serious. Now, the truth is, having traveled down 45 into the Houston and Galveston area, pretty much everything there you can see from the highway all the way out.
Cool.
It's as flat as a board there for a long, long ways.
Not a hilly jungle like here.
No, definitely not. Interspersed by an oil well or two here and there.
So instead of trees, you've got to watch out for the oil wells blocking your view.
Kinda, yeah. Now, I will say this: I did enjoy my visit there. They were nice people, and it's kind of a cool place to stay. But man, as they get hot in the summertime, whoo-wee.
Oh, I bet.
They got humidity like we never dream of humidity.
Well, exactly, because they're not that close from the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, not that close. They're not that far.
Mm.
In fact, Galveston is on a little island that technically is out in the Gulf, is it not?
Technically, it is. Yeah, there's kind of like a little ship channel behind it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I dearly enjoyed eating at Landry's Seafood on the waterfront there in Galveston. They had the best
Oh, I've heard they're good.
darn shrimp in the world. And if we do visit Biloxi, Mississippi on this trip, if you go there, you want to stay away from the known places. You want to just pick the little tiny spot you never heard of before to get a po' boy, or we're coming into shrimp season. You want to be down there in May when they just start bringing them in off the boats, because Ooh. Good stuff.
I guess it would be good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's always what I have heard. Everyone who's ever lived along or near a coastal area that says, you love seafood, you don't want to live any further than a day away from a coast, because they said fresh seafood that was just caught that day, it's unlike anything that you've ever tasted before.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so this is kind of growing in its size now. I know we're
Yeah.
not really in this for the severe thunderstorms, but it is important to note that the National Weather Service in Fort Worth has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central Lamar in north central Texas. And this is up on the Red River on the border between Texas and Oklahoma. So the size of these storms is beginning to get larger. Um, and so they're looking at Paris, Texas, Blossom, Roxton, Toco, and Sun Valley. So that's up north of the
Gotcha.
Metroplex. What they considered as North Texas doesn't make sense because north should be the Panhandle, but
Yeah.
it ain't.
And to add to that, I finally found my chart of weather service offices, and actually I'd completely forgotten. I was looking it up anyway. I have a map that actually has the 3-letter abbreviations for each office on it. So I finally got in both the Jackson, Mississippi, and the Houston, Texas chat rooms, and it looks like they are reissuing that tornado warning there down around Houston and Galveston.
Okay.
They say that it looks like it's recycling in the northern circulation, but they're anticipating that it will be a shorter warning than the original.
Ha! I knew it.
Yeah.
No, I just, as many times as I've heard Patty tell about that, is you see the front storm die and the back storm picks it up, and it's like, that looks like that's doing that.
Definitely.
All right. So, did you guys want me to do a scan on the storm just to kind of see what kind of structure it was?
No, it's not a big thing. We've got to our direct south of where we are in Springfield area. Arkansas is getting pretty well covered with storms, but none of them are really posing to be severe ones.
Gotcha.
Because our first emphasis is home. When we don't have home going, then we can run around and look at everybody else. So, yeah, there's some pretty good-looking storms down there around Fort Smith. Kind of pretty.
Yeah, and just kind of glancing through here, I just opened up our chat as well. It doesn't really look like there's a lot going on. They did just issue a new hazardous weather outlook
Ooh, that for us.
here about maybe 45 minutes ago.
Go ahead and read that for us, Frankie.
Okay, let me go ahead and pull that up here real quick.
You can be Carl for a moment.
Oh, okay. If I was doing this over the repeater, I would be KD0RSJ with the new hazardous weather outlook. This hazardous weather outlook is for portions of the Missouri Ozarks and extreme southeast Kansas. Day 1 this afternoon and tonight. Weather hazards expected include limited lightning risk and significant fog risk. Discussion. Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms will remain possible into early this evening south of Interstate 44. Cloud-to-ground lightning will be the primary potential hazard. Fog is expected late tonight, especially across southern Missouri. Locally dense fog is possible. Days 2 through 7, Monday through Saturday. Fog will persist into Monday morning, especially across southern Missouri. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are expected Monday afternoon and early evening. Some of these storms may produce hail up to the size of nickels and wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Otherwise, cloud-to-ground lightning will be the main potential hazards. Non-thunderstorm wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour are expected Monday afternoon, mainly across western Missouri and southeastern Kansas. Additionally, thunderstorms will be possible from Wednesday into Thursday and again towards next weekend as a pair of storm systems track across the region. Spotter information statement: spotter activation will not be needed through tonight.
That's good, because I wasn't planning on going out.
Yeah.
So I think Rodney's going to have a bite to eat, and sounds like a good
I
plan.
got that.
I haven't
Cool.
done that yet today, so I'm kind of been thinking that might be on my future plans here in a bit, but
Gotcha. Yeah, I have not eaten as well.
so Franklin, I did share a page, the spc.noaa.gov, and it's /products/WWA, and that's for everyone that's watching if they want to see that page. This is a lower 48 map of all of the watch's warnings and advisories.
Okay.
So if you want a big picture of what's going on in the country, which I know this might come as a little bit of a surprise, but there is a winter weather advisory for northern North Dakota, or that would be northwest North Dakota and northeast Montana. So they're having wintry weather while we're having tropical style hurricanes down there, tornadoes.
Yeah, definitely. And, most people wouldn't think about that, particularly if their area, they're at a time of the year where, it's warm, it's sunny outside, that just doesn't make sense. But, keep in mind, a lot of those northern states, particularly the northern counties in those states, as you get closer to the Canadian border, they may have a longer, prolonged winter season than what your location might be. I'm sure, anyone in the tip of Texas or, in Florida, down in the Keys are like, we never have snow. What's snow? And, they may be, a similar situation where, their summer may last maybe a month and a half, and then they're back to cooler kind of fall or even sometimes winter type temperatures and weather.
I gotta admit, I've traveled pretty good in the country, and some of it's been a long time, but most recently I traveled to Ontario in May, which is northwest Ontario. It's the bush. And you're approaching the summer solstice, so you have the longest daylight time of the year, and you just don't get a whole lot of darkness at night, because you could be up till 11:30, or so, and it's still fairly bright, and then the sun kind of disappears for a little bit, but it doesn't get really fully dark, and then about 2:30 in the morning it starts to get light again. It does get fairly warm up there at times, but not a lot. But the winter time is brutal.
Oh, I bet definitely. And I knew there were parts of Alaska that kind of got into that, always light, during part of the year, barely gets up to twilight other parts of the year. I know the closer you get towards the Arctic Circle, the more pronounced that happens. If anyone, not to necessarily be pulling fiction into this, but if anyone's seen, oh, now I'm blanking on the name of the movie. It was a great, Robin Williams and not Robert De Niro, Al Pacino movie. Insomnia was the name of the movie, where he goes to try to solve a murder in northern Alaska, and it's that time period where it never gets dark, and it's really messing with his head because it's just causing massive amounts of insomnia. He just cannot sleep. So if anyone's ever seen that movie, that's kind of what we're talking about. There's parts of the world where it maybe gets like a cloudy day. That's how dark it gets at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm thinking we've lost our tornado warnings.
Yeah, I was going to say it has expired, and as you can see, what we had discussed earlier, it appears that's what's happened. So this particular area here has dissipated. We honestly thought that this was going to strengthen, but it didn't appear that that's the case. I believe this is going to rain itself out. We're getting a refresh right now.
Yep, everything's been canceled.
Yeah.
Now, it does look like the Storm Prediction Center did just issue a new tornado watch that showed up in the...
Extension.
Yeah,
there's a mesoscale discussion here that was issued at 2:03. Areas affected southeast Texas, southern and central Louisiana concerning severe potential tornado watch likely. So it's basically an extension of watch.
Yeah, it's until 3 o'clock UTC, so that would be what? 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time.
Well,
now it does look like that they just posted, I guess they got off of Twitter, that there was a spotter that said that there was a tornado on the ground about 2 minutes west of West Columbia.
huh.
I don't know if that
any
2 minutes ago, or if that was 2 minutes in duration.
Or 2 miles.
Well,
Yeah,
there is a tornado
I bet
warning
so.
still in effect. KHGX. That's down in Texas again. So that's the same tornado warning that we were looking at earlier, just not too far from Galveston.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually central Brazoria County. It is
So
the
that's-
same. It's going to go till 3. It's the same. At 2:24, a severe thunderstorm with a history of producing a tornado was located over Holiday Lakes near Angleton, moving east at 35 miles per hour. Which they're not saying they see one, but it did produce one.
Yeah.
That's the one that was seen. And you got
So that is
a
an
you got a notch
interesting
there.
appendage.
Yeah. Go backwards Italy. And that's
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I didn't. I was gonna let you say it.
So this will be affecting Angleton around 2:35, Danbury around 2:40, and Liverpool at 2:50. And other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Chocolate Bayou. I have been waiting my whole life to say that.
You got your chance, Steve.
That sounds like a Willy Wonka area.
Yeah.
So if you reside in the Chocolate Bayou area, take cover now. Move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. In all seriousness, this is a serious situation. And I hope nobody gets hurt in Chocolate Bayou because that place is just too cool.
Yeah, we don't want you to get Hersheyed.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you made Franklin do it this time.
I think Steve needs to get a sound effect. Whenever that needs to be done, he just presses it and he goes, "Oh boy," and there's some kind of, or ba-dum boom. It could be something like that. We'd have a drum roll type thing, but.
You're just encouraging me, man.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, I can tell you. So, as Steve said earlier, it is going to probably look at transitioning. I don't know if he wants to jump over to Franklin's screen or if we want to go back and look at what Steve's got on his screen. I'm going to take a little break, step away from the computer for a minute. I should be back in about, I'd say, 15, 20 minutes, if not earlier.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. So,
Yeah, if you want
at
to,
this point,
if you want to
Huh?
kick the stream out, I'll just I'll switch back to what I had going before, and which has got the SPC and a radar. I'll pull the Houston radar up on it, and if you want to, just completely take a break for a bit, that's cool. That'll work. So
that should be fine. We'll be able to take care of whatever we got to do, and we'll go from there. So, in the meantime, I will just kind of go off the screen here a bit. We'll just be audio only at this point.
That'll work.
Alrighty, guys. I will see you soon.
All right.
And it looks like the Houston office just issued a new continuance on that tornado warning until 3 p.m. for East Central Brazoria County. At 2:42 p.m., severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Danbury or near Angleton, moving east at 35 miles per hour. Tornado and half-dollar size hail are the hazards. Is radar indicated rotation. So therefore, flying debris will be dangerous. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. The storm will be near Liverpool at around 2:50 p.m. Other locations impacted include Chocolate Bayou, like you said. So I'm not for sure if that's the same thing that you read. I just saw it pop up in chat just a couple minutes ago. So you may have read the initial issuance, and this is just an update.
Okay. All right. I'm getting my screen lined out here because it doesn't.
No problem.
It does not like it when you switch.
Back and forth between different things.
Right, and the X windows that I'm using for the screen capture, if you change the website, it just goes, blah, I don't know what to do.
Gotcha.
And so I just got that fixed. So we've got the Houston, Galveston, Texas radar up right now, and it'll update. And the SPC, so... and we're going to continue watching the map here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that SPC product that you mentioned, that was pretty cool. I went ahead and bookmarked that. I've got so many different bookmarks for Skywarn and amateur radio stuff, but yeah, I went ahead and bookmarked that in my National Weather Service folder because that would be something that I would love to reference in the future.
I used to have a bookmark folder that I labeled ActiveNet.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, I could just hit that folder and open all of them in tabs. And that was one page. That was one specific page because it tended to get you the warnings a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was pre-chat.
Gotcha.
Once I got in on that side of things, it made life a lot easier when it comes to active nets.
Oh yeah.
Um, so you know, we have updated. I mean, honestly, we've got stuff now that I only dreamed of when I first started doing Greene County Net. I was very, very limited. Um, Basically, radar and the SPC and the Weather Service feed was all that I had.
Oh, and I bet back then the radar options were limited.
Oh, I didn't have College of DuPage. It was not out there to sea. Um, if it was, it wasn't on a regular basis. I think Weather Underground had some pretty good stuff going on, but there was always a delay
Yeah.
in the feed timing, so it wasn't really great for doing an active net.
Yeah, and I've noticed sometimes with Weather Underground with their Wonder Map, it's great, it's awesome. If you don't have anything else, it's definitely one of the better web-based options. But sometimes it seems like on some computers, it just doesn't run very well. I'm wondering if it's maybe computers that have a lower amount of resources to throw at it.
Yeah.
Usually my iMac it runs pretty good on, even though it is a older computer. It's like it's a mid 2007 model that was purchased in January of 2008. But I upgraded it as much as I could upgrade it, and actually I could throw 2 more gigs of RAM in it.
Right.
That's about the only thing I can upgrade on it now, but it's running a 2.8 gigahertz dual core 2 extreme, which gives you a little bit more processing power and 4 gigs of RAM. So it seems to do pretty good with it, but some other computers I've noticed, like my laptop that I got from Rodney, it's a little bit older than that. I think it's just a 2 gigahertz AMD dual core, and I think it's only got 1 or 2 gigs of RAM in it. It may possibly have 3, but I don't think so. It can take up to 8, but I don't have that fully populated in it. It struggles with it a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. I noticed that they reduced the polygon size on the Houston area tornado.
Yeah. Yeah, it was longer than what it is now. It's kind of more almost a square, but not quite.
If that one is, if they ended early, or if it's set and it expires by 3, that's kind of it. And I've noticed and I especially the look on the Jackson, Mississippi radar, this thing's starting to go into like a great big linear event. Because all the gaps are filling in with precipitation, and that's not to say that it ain't possible to have tornadoes, but it's a real tornado killer.
Yeah, and they just mentioned that in the Houston chat. They're thinking about consolidating the tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings into, I guess, one severe thunderstorm warning here shortly, and that's exactly what they said, that the storms are becoming more linear and looks to be losing the low-level rotation. They may also be going to a special marine warning as well, I'm sure, for Galveston and some other areas right there on the coast.
Yeah, they've already got, and I'll have to click on it and see, because we've got a lot of marine advisories going right now. So off of the New Orleans Weather Service office, special marine warning for coastal waters from Boothville, Louisiana to southwest pass of the Mississippi River out to 20 nautical miles. Coastal waters from Stake Island, Louisiana to southwest pass of the Mississippi River from 20 to 60 nautical miles, and coastal waters from Pascagoula, Mississippi to Stake Island, Louisiana out to 20 to 60 nautical miles. Uh, a wind bore front was located 50 nautical miles east of Pilot Town, moving northeast at 50 knots. Wind gusts
Mm-hmm.
to nearly 50 knots are the hazard. So the front will remain mainly over open waters. Now, having been, I tell you what, probably a pretty cool highlight of my life was I was actually under the flight path of Keesler Air Force Base while there was a hurricane going on, and that's
Oh, wow.
those are the military hunters. They're not the civilian guys. And we got buzzed by C-130s while we're out playing like crazy tourists in the rain and the surf. That was, that's pretty cool stuff. Let's see, we got one more here, and again, that's Baton Rouge. Nope, that covers pretty much all of that area,
Mm-hmm.
and the Atlantic from Hatteras Canyon to Cape Fear, and then it skips up into the Cape Cod and 68 west north of 1,000 fathoms, which is, if I know what fathoms means, so it's out that far.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of control up to 200 miles off of the coast uh, for weather purposes, because we have fishermen going out that far.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And let's just see what they're saying about that. An intense low pressure area currently southeast of Nova Scotia this morning will move well east and northeast of the region today into tonight as a high pressure ridge crosses the waters. Another intensifying low pressure system will pass just south and then east of the area. Later tonight through Monday night, a cold front will approach the region from the west Tuesday morning and then move across the waters later Tuesday into Tuesday night as low pressure passes north of the region. A secondary cold front will cross the waters Wednesday, followed by a high pressure ridge building east over the area Wednesday. So they're looking at a gale warning up there, winds from 15 to 20 knots. And I don't know if you've ever heard it, Franklin and Heather, but they have marine forecasts that they read at 14,300.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go.
Now that's on the Maritime Mobile
Right.
net, correct?
Right. And so our National Weather Service also forecasts for the ocean, and up around the Cape Cod area, they're expecting Monday night winds 35 to 45 knots and seas building to 10 to 17 feet.
Yikes.
I wouldn't want to be in that in a canoe.
No. And just for everyone that might be watching that's near that Houston and Galveston area, the Houston office did just now cancel the tornado warning, and they've reissued a new, larger severe thunderstorm warning to kind of encompass those thunderstorm and tornado warnings that were kind of in that Angleton, Danbury, Liverpool area.
Yep. So I guess the threat has diminished down to just severe thunderstorm warnings.
Yes, I believe so. My
That's good.
radar hasn't quite updated to reflect that yet, but that's what they're saying in the chat.
Yeah, I just saw the color change in the map, so. So I do notice that a large portion of Alabama and Georgia are under a flood watch,
Yeah.
maybe a flash flood warning. Let me double check. I'm going to go to Birmingham real quick and see what they say.
Yeah, that darker green is looking like is a flash flood warning. And then there's kind of in central Alabama, there's a little bit lighter green area. I think that's a flash flood watch.
So,
but the darker green that's covering a little bit of north central Mississippi, most of central Alabama, most of central Georgia, and a little bit of west central to west south South Carolina. That all looks like that's a flash flood warning.
I'm gonna move the radar just a little bit,
Okay.
and that's Fort Polk that I've got on the screen. Let me double check and make sure that it didn't do it. Hang on.
Now, I got a quick question. Are you sharing your screen with the radar? Because all I'm seeing is you right now.
Not on Skype.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm
But
doing
it's going out on the live feed.
right.
Okay. So,
Yeah. I don't have a specific screen to share. I think if I did share it, you'd just see OBS.
gotcha. That could be possible.
Yeah. No, you're just seeing Skype. And no Rodney. So, there we go. Yeah, I figured with weather and things being what they are, we kind of don't. Not critical to have our faces on there,
Yeah.
but if you turned over to the Weather Service Fort Polk radar, you can really see this thing building into a big linear event. I think really the hazards for a while at least is going to be these flash flooding that could affect. And the watch is portions of central Alabama, east central Alabama, southeast and west central, including. I'm not going to read all that. But it suffices to say basically from north to south, just the top tier of counties in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia are not covered, and then along the coast counties, they're expecting until 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Monday, heavy rainfall from several rounds of showers and thunderstorms will result in 3 to 5 inches of rain with locally higher amounts. That's a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about, because we've not done this yet during an active net.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I personally believe will be a positive thing, because some of this is for others of our group who desire more training.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to bring in those. It's going to bring in more of the people who want to be net control, so they can actually see what goes on in the behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, honestly, when we do a live local net, it's gonna be different.
Oh,
Definitely
yeah,
different
definitely.
than this, because we're able to casually talk about these things, whereas if one of us is net control, we're gonna have to mute the mic and go live on the whatever repeater, even if I could see it potentially even covering some of the regional stuff if it's not too busy.
Yeah. That's the only thing, is how busy is the regional net being, because I can definitely wholeheartedly attest, sometimes when we've got a lot of storms and a lot of different stuff going through, you got to keep in mind the Springfield office of the National Weather Service, their watch area is 37 counties. So 3 of those counties are in southeast Kansas. So that means the other 34 are in southwest Missouri.
Yep.
That's a lot of counties to keep track of, particularly if even only half of them have some kind of a warning going on at that time. And then it's not just the initial issuances. The office periodically issues updates and continuances and stuff. So if we've got a really active weather system going through here, you can sometimes have 2, 3, I think I've even had as many as maybe 4 watches or warnings or different other products come in within just like a minute or two. I was saying the other day, sometimes I'll be reading something and I'll get 2 or 3 things that come in through the Weather Service chat while I'm reading that.
Yeah.
So then I'll open those up in my browser, have them in a tab waiting for whenever I get done with what I'm reading at that point, close that out, start the next one, and I may only get halfway through that, and here's another 1 or 2 that have came in.
Right.
So it gets really, really busy.
Yeah, and the truth is, so what I would say, the expectation is that if I'm technically, I think, considered backup. I'm not an active net control, although I've pretty much had most all the training. is I don't mind doing production on it. And so all the net control would have to do is bring up Skype and make the call, and we just know that at times you're going to mute your mic and you're going to do the net, and we'll hear it on my radio, which is gonna feed that audio feed in there, but that's just, we just know that's going to be a thing, so no worries on the if you've got net control duties, you're not going to be forced to have to perform for a live stream. And so I know the conditions are pretty ripe here, but got to kind of wonder, do we want to take a break for a bit this afternoon as things have kind of died down and pick this up a little bit later in the evening?
If you want to, I mean, I know I've not been going too long with it yet, but like I had mentioned, I haven't eaten anything. I need to run an errand, returning something to Wally World. So if we want to take a break for a little bit, I can go do that and then get back home. And then if something does happen here or anywhere else, then I'd be ready to go to live stream.
Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere around 5.
5-ish.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
In that neighborhood. I mean, I think we probably want to play it like we did. If we've got a tornado warning at 5, we ought to go on. If there isn't one, we'll just kind of wait till there is one and kick off with that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because honestly, we've done a pretty good job of covering what's been going on. And not that this means that there's an end to the event. It's just that we want to also get some food and spend some time doing that. So we'll do that. I'll let Rodney know. He's probably listening.
Okay.
And we'll come back into it sometime after 5, and we'll see where we're at.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right. Well, guys, stay on a minute while I end the stream. I'm going to say this is KA0 SPM saying 73.